If your patriotism depends on putting someone else down, it's not pride, it's fear dressed up as strength. America doesn't have a monopoly on brilliance. When we buy into American exceptionalism as fact, that's not patriotism, that's propaganda. The goal is not domination, the goal is dignity for all of us. This is The Unhappy American, a short-run podcast calling out the lies, flipping the script, and giving you real tools to take your happiness back. Because you don't need to do more, you need to do different. Subscribe now, not to the life they told you to want, but to the one you choose. America is not the best country in the world. There, I said it. Not because I don't love America, not because I'm ungrateful, but because I refuse to confuse love with delusion. We've been told we're the best at everything, smartest, strongest, freest. But that's not patriotism, that's propaganda. And it's not just wrong, it's dangerous. Because the second you believe you're better than everyone else, you stop learning from them. You stop listening. You stop evolving. That's not leadership. That's stagnation wrapped in a flag. We don't have to be the best to be better. And we don't have to compete with the world to thrive in it. There's a different kind of power. One that comes from humility, connection, and shared humanity. The lie is that the world is a race. And we're supposed to win. That America must dominate, outpace, outrank. That if someone else rises, we must be falling. Zero-sum thinking scaled globally. But this isn't the Olympics, and life isn't a leaderboard. Every culture offers something. Every country has wisdom, innovation, and beauty. But when we buy into American exceptionalism as fact, we close ourselves off from what could make us stronger. We call collaboration weakness. We see cooperation as compromise. We treat global allies like opponents. And it's not just foreign policy, it's personal too, because superiority doesn't connect, it isolates. It breeds fear, distrust, and arrogance. And it stops us from being curious about each other, about the world, about better ways to live. Last episode, I mentioned this study from the 1992 Olympics. When researchers analyzed facial expressions of medalists, they found that silver medalists were visibly less happy than bronze medalists. Why? Because silver compares itself upward. I almost had gold. Bronze compares downward. At least I made it to the podium. That's what superiority does. It keeps you scanning for who's ahead, and it makes you miserable in the process. Now take that mindset and apply it to a whole country, a whole culture, a people. It's no wonder we're exhausted, defensive, and out of step with the rest of the world. So what if being the best was never the point? What if we stopped measuring greatness in GDP, in military power, or Instagram-worthy hustle? What if we started measuring it by well-being, by generosity, by how we treat our most vulnerable? You see, there's a reason we feel disconnected both individually and nationally, because superiority is not a connection strategy. It's a fear strategy, and it's keeping us from growing. Here's what the happiest countries in the world have in common: work-life balance, universal health care, paid parental leave, investment in public goods, high trust in government and each other. You know what they don't have? A superiority complex. We keep trying to prove we're the best. Meanwhile, people in Denmark are riding bikes to work and eating pastries with their neighbors. You want strength? Learn from the world. You want freedom? Redefine what that means. Because freedom without community is just isolation. And pride without perspective is just a wall. All right, so if we're not chasing number one, what are we doing? We're getting curious. We're getting connected. We're building a better version of pride, one rooted in humility, not hierarchy. And that doesn't require a policy change or a passport stamp, though those certainly help. It starts with what you choose to pay attention to, what you celebrate, what you question, what you model. Here's what that looks like in real life. We need to look outward on purpose. Look, you don't need a plane ticket to expand your worldview. Read global news, not just U.S. headlines. Watch a documentary from a different culture. Ask your international coworkers or neighbors how they do things. And actually listen. Let yourself be surprised. Let yourself be changed. Then we need to start practicing cultural humility. Instead of always screaming, "We do it best," we need to ask, what are we missing? Who has already figured this out? Whether it's how we raise kids, handle stress, or care for elders, other countries have answers. This isn't about shame, it's about strategy. Learning from others doesn't make us less American. It makes us a better one. And if you lead, build globally minded teams. Bring in more perspective, celebrate different ways of thinking, treat international insight as a competitive edge, not a complication. Normalize cross-cultural collaboration, not as a DEI checkbox, but as how real progress happens. I know this may come as a shock to some of you, but America doesn't have a monopoly on brilliance. Let your team reflect the world we're actually working in. You are not in competition with the rest of the world. We are not in competition with the rest of the world. The goal is not domination. The goal is dignity for all of us. And if your patriotism depends on putting someone else down, it's not pride. It's fear dressed up as strength. But fear doesn't build futures. Collaboration does. Curiosity does. Humanity does. So what does a happy American look like? Well, they love where they live, but they don't confuse geography with identity. They're proud, but not blind. They ask questions. They listen more than they declare. They believe in progress over perfection. They believe in neighbors, not nations. They aren't afraid to look around the world and say, "Damn, that's beautiful. Let's try that." They know that America isn't the center of the universe, but it can be part of the solution, not by outshining everyone else, but by working with everyone else for a world that works for all of us. So here's your move. Stop clinging to the myth that your country is the main character and start remembering that your humanity is what matters most. Because borders, they're imaginary, made up, arbitrary. But kindness, connection, cooperation, that's real. That's global. So love where you live, but don't let that love become a cage. Be proud but not blind, rooted but not rigid. Start noticing what other cultures do well and say so. Start teaching your kids that different isn't dangerous. Start living like your neighbor across the world is your neighbor across the street. Because the future won't be won by one country beating the others. It will be built together by all of us. So yeah, be proud, but be human first. And if this episode cracked something open for you, please pass it on. Share it with someone still trapped in the myth of America first. And if you're ready to keep dismantling the lies and design something better, subscribe to The Unhappy American. Real patriotism isn't about being the best. It's about being better for each other.